Hey, I'm Sam Millison, and I'm a 15-year-old filmmaker from the UK. And in 2022, 2 years ago, I got addicted to almost like degenerate, almost like American rapper style music, like Lil Tecca and I can't Lil Mosey and like all the Lils, you know. Um, and yeah, I basically got addicted to it. And music no longer felt good to me whatsoever. But then over the past 2 years, I've kind of come back from that and I've made some changes and I've learned some things, and it's these lessons that I want to share with you today in this video. And also I want to bring my own like filmmaker's perspective of it as well, because I think that can be really powerful for you. And so there's 6 steps that I've kind of like bullet pointed out today, and they'll probably be time stamped if you want to have a look and skip between them. But yeah, let's get into it. So I've I've never really been a musical person at all. I've never really been into music loads. Like I've not been. I kind of can play piano a bit. I know a few songs, but I've never really been massively into music. And until up to when I was like 13, 14, I didn't really listen to music at all. Like it wasn't a thing I did, if that makes sense. Like some people who just listen to it all the time. I never really did that until my friend, he eventually just I think it was he got me like to get onto Spotify basically. I don't think I was even on Spotify, but he like got me onto Spotify, and then that's when I started listening to like the old songs I'd used to make my Fortnite montages. And if you were in that sort of space, you'd know in general what kind of genres it was, and it was that kind of like degenerate drugs party rappers. And I kind of just started listening to that. Like it was like a massive playlist of all the songs in you, and I just listened to it like not constantly, but like a lot of the time. And yeah, at first it felt really, really good. It gave me like a mental pump. You know how it is, like you listen to a new song or you listen to music for the first time in a while, and it's like it actually feels good, you know. And that's how it started out feeling. But then yeah, over time, as I listened to it more and more and more, and it just started not to feel as good. And I mean, you definitely experienced that too. It's like you listen to music and you listen to a song for the first time, and then over time, it just doesn't feel good anymore. And that's what happened to me, but with like all music in general, if that makes sense. And so I tried switching what I listened to. I listened to different music, different songs, and it would have some sort of impact, but then obviously it wouldn't have a massive impact. It wouldn't feel as good as it did before, and yeah, it just got old, and all of a sudden, music didn't feel great anymore. It was just like I'd had this great thing, music, so powerful that could make me feel so good, and all of a sudden, I just lost it basically. But then, like I said, over the past couple of years, I started to make some changes, and I started to learn some new things, and it's taken me a while. And I mean, on this channel before, I've made videos saying that you shouldn't listen to music whatsoever. My opinion's changed since then. But yeah, I've learned some things, and yeah, we'll start now basically, because I've realized, especially with filmmaking too, how powerful music can actually be. And so the first point I want to make, and this is kind of like my main point that's going to be like reoccurring throughout the video, it's going to be like a reoccurring theme, and that's seeing your life as a film basically. And all my other points, they're going to come under this point of seeing your life as a film. And it's like you've always got to treat your life as a film. Like how a film uses music, that's how you've got to use music in your own life, if that makes sense. So for example, a film, and I'll get onto this point more in depth later, a film doesn't like constantly play music over literally everything. They're not constantly blasting like what's it, like funk music. They're not constantly like blasting that over every single scene in shot. In a film, they use silence and they use sound effects, or they use like different things to create the energy and like bring it all together, if that makes sense. In a film, like I said, they don't just blast everything with music. It's it's about being intentional with the music. I just said I think twice. And if we go further, if we go further and about seeing your life as a film, and this is a concept I kind of understand, but I really, really struggle to articulate. It's like you see, when you see your life as more of a film, and you won't even know what I mean until you experience it yourself, but I can't even put into words. It's like everything in your life, it becomes part of the narrative, like part of the story of your life, and you start to see that everything happens for a reason. It's like the randomness and chaos of your life, that chaos becomes order. It's like chaos inside of order, if that makes sense. And you start to see that, yeah, everything happens for a reason, and everything is how it is because it should be that way. And it is so hard to put into words, but you also just start to see the beauty in the little things as well. Like as the day progresses and the sun gets higher in the sky and the weather changes and the seasons change, and how the weather is, and our nature, and the beauty of light. And I can't even put it into words, but maybe this is just like my filmmaker sight or whatever speaking here, but yeah, you do start to appreciate more of the little things more, and it's like you are living in a film almost, and it's like you are like the main protagonist in a film. And I know some people will call it cringe, but honestly, I don't really care about them if they say, "Oh, calling yourself the main character is cringe," because it is actually really powerful. And I'll get into that in a minute. I'm kind of going on to a bit of a waffle here. But it's almost like you romanticize everything in life, except the romanticism about it is realistic, if that makes sense. But I guess that's the only way I can really put it. But yeah, essentially with your music, you just need to be more intentional with it. That's kind of the base lesson for all of that, and you got to value it more as well. You can't just play it over everything constantly. And yeah, and basically I'm going to teach you how to practically do this with the next few points. So my next point is basically just to listen to what you want to become. So you have to align your music with your values. If you don't agree with all the kind of degenerates, like, you know, the rappers I talked about earlier, if you don't agree with all the drugs and partying and all that sort of stuff they do, and you kind of want to not be related to that, then you shouldn't listen to their music, because they're always talking about that stuff in their music. Yeah. And so you've got to avoid that kind of music. But if you want to become more present and you want to become a deeper thinker and more observant, then you're going to listen to classical piano or any sort of classical music, aren't you? Yeah. Whatever you listen to, you're going to become more like, and it's the same concept as, like, you know, the whole saying, like, you're the summary of like the 5 people you spend the most time with, or something like that. You become more like your surroundings, if that makes sense. Not just for people, not just for your surroundings themselves, but also for your music, yeah. And so if you listen to that kind of degenerate music, you're going to become more degenerate, yeah. If you listen to classical piano, you're going to become more like the people who write classical piano, who are in general more intelligent, more present and everything. And so you've got to be intentional with what you listen to, okay? And you've got to listen to what you want to be more like, okay? Do you think you're going to become more present and intelligent by listening to 6ix9ine or by listening to Beethoven? Okay, just think about that. And don't just listen to stuff because of other people's opinions either. For some reason, and I don't know why people think this, for some reason, I guess, let me get onto it. For some reason, loads of people, or at least everyone I've spoken to, thinks French music is pretty terrible. And to be honest, modern French music is pretty terrible. But it's gonna sound so strange, but I listen to French 80s music when I'm running. I just like it, and I don't know what it is, but I mean, the tempo of it is all like really good. Like it's perfect for when I'm going for like 5k PBs even. BBs, what I'm saying. And it doesn't only help me improve my French, I just like love it, if that makes sense. The whole energy of the music and everything, and especially when I'm running, the kind of energy and like the tempo and everything about the music is just really good for running. And so listening to that music while running, if that makes sense, it makes me a better runner, okay, because I'm aligning more with the energy of the music. And it's really hard to describe, but you've got to listen to the stuff that you want to listen to and that applies to you best, if that makes sense. Because remember, it's your life, okay? It's your film. It's not their life. It's not their film, okay? You don't have to listen to what they say, because, again, your life and what you want, okay, matters more than what everyone else wants, if that makes sense. And that probably goes against a lot of your beliefs, but I mean, deep down, psychologically is true. And I'm going on to another thing there, but... And the next point is to form connections with your songs. And you're probably like thinking, oh yeah, I already do form connections with my songs. Like if you listen to songs and music that you listened to like 3 years ago, for example, and you listen back to them now, you're gonna feel a sense of nostalgia. And that happens all the time. I listen to music I listened to 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 3 years ago. I get nostalgia, everyone does. And that's because of the connection you have formed with your music, okay? But again, if you're more intentional with how you listen to your music and how you form your connections, it can be even better, okay? So you need to have certain songs or certain playlists for when you're doing certain things, if that makes sense. And like I said, I listen to French 80s music while I'm running my park run on Saturdays, going for my 5K personal best. And in the gym, or I don't really go to the gym anymore, but that's a whole other point I'm going to get onto. Or I'll go on to another video even. But when I was in the gym, I'd listen to like this kind of like chanting Viking music. And yeah, when I'm journaling or when I'm thinking and all that, I listen to classical piano because that just gets me in a headspace of like deeply thinking and everything. And yeah, I don't have massive playlists either. Okay, my playlists are like 30 minutes long with like 7 or 8 songs at most. And again, with all of this, it really lets you be more intentional with how you control the music in life. It lets you be more intentional with like how you control your own film, and especially with less songs, it lets you be a lot more like intentional. It lets you make such better connections with your songs, okay, when you have a lot less of them. Because if you have a playlist that's like 15 hours long, you're gonna, and yeah, let's say you listen to it for an average of an hour a day, you're gonna hear on average the same song every 15 days, every 2 weeks. You're going to hear a song every twice a month on average. That's not enough to form a connection with it, is it really? And obviously 15 hours is a pretty extreme example. I don't think anyone's playlist is really 15 hours, but that's just my point, okay. With shorter playlists, you can really understand and feel each song more. And I'll be honest, a lot of the time it's like when I play music, I don't play a playlist, I just play an individual song. Yeah, or maybe 2 or 3 songs, for example. It's like, I'm not going to name the exact songs or anything because I'll get laughed at for it. But it's like when I'm like really, really happy and when I'm in like really good energy, and it's usually like after I finish doing my work before I go to school, which is in like 7 minutes. Um, I play these certain songs that I've just like connected with over time, if that makes sense, and it really lets me like amplify my whole energy and like happiness, if that makes sense. And I'm not playing a playlist out, I'm playing an individual song or 1 or 2 songs. And again, I'm just being more intentional with it, and yeah, it really does let you connect with the songs a lot more. And so yeah, and this is my kind of my next point. It's kind of inside this current point, but I mentioned it before, but you've got to almost act like the main character. And when you form better connections with your songs, and when you have like certain songs for specific like scenes in your life, if that makes sense, you'll start to feel more like a movie character, and you'll start to feel more like the main character. And I know so many people that are like, say it's cringe calling yourself the main character or the protagonist or whatever, but it really is powerful. And I know, I guess it just kind of sounds cringe thinking you're the main character, but I do it. I think I'm the main character. Main character. Obviously not logically, but it's almost like you convince your subconscious it is true, and then, I mean, just think about how a main character acts. If you were to pretend you're a main character, you would basically pretend you win, if that makes sense. Yet by doing that, you would actually win. It's hard to it's self-image basically. If you see yourself as something, you're gonna act more like that something, obviously. And so if that something is a main character, then you're gonna act more like a main character in a movie. And again, you're gonna be just better at everything, okay? Because that's how our main character is. And I know it sounds so cringe, and I'm not articulating this well, but if you can put yourself in a movie, which is your life, you're gonna feel like a main character. And that's gonna be so powerful for just helping you do whatever you want to do. Yeah, and so when I'm running, yeah, when I'm basically, when I'm running, and again, this is gonna sound so cringe, I feel like I'm the main character in his training arc, okay? When I'm thinking and journaling, I feel like I'm the main character, like planning his like big plot or something like that, yeah. It sounds so strange, but when you see yourself as like the center, and when you see yourself as everything orbiting around you and see yourself as the center, everything it just becomes like so more meaningful, if that makes sense. Like for some, I mean, again, this is gonna sound so cringe, but I've always like known and had a feeling that I'm gonna like completely change the world. Yeah, and I know loads of people are gonna see this and gonna think, oh, you're so arrogant, so cringe, but even if I don't, and even if I don't have like logical plans to do that, just having like that feeling and having that subconscious knowledge that I'm going to do it, if that makes sense, it just makes you feel like you're like have so much more meaning, and you no longer feel like you're on the outskirts, if that makes sense. You no longer feel like you're just orbiting everything else. You feel like you're more so the center, and what you do actually matters. And if you give yourself meaning like that, everything just becomes so much better, and so much more meaningful. But yeah, and my next point is to actually listen to the music. And this kind of, I've kind of really covered this with my past few points, but you need to be present with the music, and you need to actually listen to it. And again, having a small playlist really, really helps you do this. Because I know a lot of people, they just kind of play whatever in the background constantly. And it's like, in a movie, for example, they don't just blast like music over literally every scene. In a music, they use silence. Okay, and I'm going to get onto this in a minute as well. In a music, they use silence, and in a movie, sorry, they use music as well, and they have that kind of contrast with it. You need to actually appreciate the music more. Okay, you need to. I'm not articulating this very, very well, am I? Yeah, if a film is bad, okay, if a film or a YouTube video or something like that is bad, okay, you don't fix it just by putting music over it. You probably know this, like, you see small YouTubers that have like 10 subscribers make videos, and it's a really bad video, but they just put like some really good music over it. You know what I mean? It's like the music will be really, really good, but the actual video itself will be terrible. It's like the video isn't good because it has good music, if that makes sense, because it's a bad video in the first place. And so we apply this to your life. Like you can't just put good music over a bad life and expect the life to become good. You have to have a good life in the first place, and then the good music adds on to that, if that makes sense. And yeah, in a film, again, they use music intentionally. So you got to actually, appreciate your music and actually properly listen to it. Okay, don't just have it in the background. And my next point is to ration. Yes, ration your music. And this is the first thing, like first tactic I ever kind of started doing and I ever actually learnt myself. It was like back in like 2022. I'd be listening to that kind of stuff. My genre had kind of changed then, by then, but I went more into kind of like Foo Fighters and around, or like more of that stuff. And when I'd be listening to it, like if I'd listen to it all the time again, I'd feel like really, really bad. And so I started to ration it. And instead of listening to music constantly, like when I'd be doing chores or when I'd be doing whatever, something that I didn't want to do, I wouldn't listen to music. And instead, I'd only listen to music when I was doing something I actually did enjoy. So when I was going out on my bike, when I was going for a hike, a run, something I actually did enjoy doing, that's when I'd listen to music, because it's like then multiply off each other and it'd leverage. So I'd be doing something that feels good and I'd be listening to music that feels good, and so they kind of like multiply and I feel even better. Yeah, when you listen to music when you're doing something you don't enjoy, for like chores, for example, I mean, you can enjoy chores, but I'm just using that as an example of something you don't enjoy. If you listen to music while doing chores, then it's like the music isn't even gonna really feel that good, if that makes sense. And you probably know what I mean. It's like when you listen to music and doing something you don't actually enjoy, the music doesn't feel anywhere near as good as when you listen to music while you're doing something that you enjoy. And so, I mean, we already know that if you listen to music less, it's gonna feel better when you listen to music itself. And so why don't you only listen to music when you're doing something you enjoy? Yeah, and you get that like leverage on it. And the other thing is, and I've already mentioned this, a film uses silence as well as music. Silence and music, they're equal and opposite, yeah. You've got to have silence and music. Neither of them are good without the other, okay? You need polarity between them. And so, again, you have to treat your life like a film, and when there is silence, you've got to appreciate that silence. When there is music, you've got to appreciate that music. And if a film blasts music over the entire thing, imagine that. Like you're watching some kind of film, pretty bad film, yeah, but they're just like blasting some like really good music, and you're actually enjoying the music, and you're like, when you're like watching a YouTube video or something like that, and you're not actually watching the video, you're just kind of like listening to the music on it because it's so good. I mean, it doesn't happen to me loads, but it happens to me every now and then. And having good music like that, it doesn't actually make the film or the video good. I said that earlier, didn't I? But you need to use music intentionally. Okay, you need to have it at the right points, and so yeah, leverage when you listen. I've already mentioned that. And then a kind of another sub point in this is when you're doing something you don't enjoy or don't necessarily enjoy, but is actually good for you. So, for example, if you really really hate running, yeah, you hate running, yeah, when you run, it would be appropriate to listen to music, even though you really hate running, because when you're running, I mean, you don't have to run, but you're running because you know it's good for you. And so when you are running, even if you don't actually physically enjoy it, even if it's like uncomfortable and you feel discomfort, you are actually in a way enjoying it because it's like you know you're fulfilling and you know you're reaching your potential. And so then it would be appropriate to listen to music while you're doing that. And so yeah, to summarize, you need to see your life as a film. And I know I haven't articulated this video well. I'm definitely going to remake this video a couple times to make it better. But yeah, you need to be present and intentional with your music, like how a filmmaker would be. Yeah, and you not only need to utilize music, but also silence. And so that's basically it. See your life as a film. I really think me getting into filmmaking, it's opened up my mind to a lot of more of these like deeper subjects and stuff like this about presence and all of this. And yeah, I'm really grateful that I have actually got into filmmaking. Basically, to give context, I quit my online business a couple of months ago to focus on filmmaking, and it's gone really, really well so far. My films are linked on my channel if you just click on here. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, and if you like who I am and this video helped you and you do want to support me with filmmaking and all this, then I do actually offer paid mentorship. So if you want to basically support me financially with doing filmmaking, because shit costs so much, and you also want to like get something out from yourself, you can use my brain and I can become your mentor as such, while you like support me financially with my filmmaking. The link for that is down below. All the details are down there. And again, there's no pressure, no pressure at all with it. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, and I really do hope this video helped you. And I'm definitely going to be remaking it again and again because this is a topic I really like speaking about, and I think it goes a lot deeper than what I covered today. But I just haven't had the ability to articulate it well. But yeah, I've got 7 minutes to get ready for school. Let's hope I'm not late. But yeah, man, appreciate it. See ya.